Donald Trump went on Hannity this week, and he engaged in a wrestling match with the English language and a wrestling match with logic. So here's what he said about the economy and the national debt. The country, we took it over and owed over $20 trillion. As you know, the last 8 years, they borrowed more than it did in the whole history of our country. So they borrowed more than $10 trillion, right? And yet, we picked up $5.2 trillion in the stock market. Possibly picked up the whole thing in terms of the first 9 months in terms of value. So you could say, in one sense, we're really increasing values, and maybe in a sense, we're reducing debt, but we're very honored by it. What? Okay, so he's saying, oh, we have like $20 trillion in debt. But, you know, the stock market is worth like $5.2 trillion. We picked up $5.2 trillion in just the stock market. So you could say we picked up the whole thing in terms of value. So in one sense, we're really increasing values and reducing debt. No, you cannot, because that isn't even close to how the economy works. So when you have the stock market pick up value, you know who that's good for? Corporations. Corporations and their shareholders. So the stock market, and this is a point I've made a zillion times over, the stock market is not a good reflection of how middle-class people are doing and poor people are doing, and it's not a good reflection of how 95% of the American people are doing. It's a good reflection of maybe the top 5%, but not a good reflection of 95%. So when you say, the stock market, tremendous, unbelievable, doing so well, and you can say, in a sense, we've reduced the debt tremendously. No, you can't, which is why the debt is still like $20 trillion, and the stock market, which is totally separate, is at record highs. And by the way, the Republicans love to use the stock market as an indicator only when they're in office and it's doing well. You'll find out whenever it crashes, all of a sudden they'll turn around and he'll say, no, it wasn't me. I didn't do it. But under Obama, for example, the stock market grew massively. It doubled from what he inherited. So you would think that they would say, Obama was good with the stock market, you got to give him that. But no, they don't say that because that standard only applies to them. Is the stock market doing well? Yes. Is it doing well under me? Yes. Well, then let's talk about the stock market. Is it doing poorly under me? Yes. Well, then don't talk about it. Is it doing well under a Democrat? Well, then don't talk about it. And let's, again, be clear that I never said during Obama that, the stock market is a good indicator of how well the economy is doing, because it's not. It just isn't. But he's taking a measure of the wealth of corporations and saying, that's basically kind of like we eliminated or reduced the national debt. That is absolutely positively nothing like we eliminated the national debt. And then again, these guys are so goofy. So listen, man, if you want to say, hey, let's not run a deficit in a given year, that's something that I think is a reasonable position to take. And, you know, depending on the circumstance and how the actual economy is doing and whatnot, maybe that's a goal that's something that should be desired or attempted to be attained, okay? But if you want to say, let's eliminate the national debt, that's not possible. That's not going to happen. Virtually every country on earth has a national debt. Okay, national debt, to have a national debt, that is the lifeblood of capitalism. So you need to run public deficits to get private surpluses. Again, this is not something that you hear for most people, but this is something that MMT economists have spoken about, and they're right. And even some Keynesians have pointed this out. They're right about that. So what are you going to do? How are you going to eliminate $20 trillion in debt? And you do realize if you were to attempt to do that, well, then you would have to fucking almost eliminate military spending. You have to absolutely obliterate and gut every social safety net program. So no, having a national debt is something, it's always going to be there. It ain't going anywhere. But virtually every country has a national debt. You can have a conversation about maybe not running a deficit in a given year, but the national debt, which is an accumulation of all the debt from the fucking inception of this country until now, you're not going to fucking be able to get rid of that? But again, the fucking deficit scolds or the debt scolds, these are people who, if you notice, they'll only whine and bitch and moan under Democratic presidents. Whenever it's under Republican presidents, all of a sudden, they have nothing to say about the debt and the deficit, and all of a sudden, tax cuts are a bigger priority. And of course, tax cuts would add more to the debt and the deficit. So tax cuts for the rich, yeah, that's a good idea. And again, that'll just explode the debt and the deficit even more. But funny how their concern for the debt and the deficit is gone whenever a Democrat's out of office and it's a Republican. And then watch, the next time a Democrat is elected, they'll turn around and go on day one and go, look at this fucking debt and deficit. This is unbelievable. So, Democrats, you should fix this. So, he just doesn't know anything. I mean, that's the bottom line here. He doesn't know anything. He's really gonna, for fuck's sake, man, there are people in like middle school who can tell you that this is 100% wrong. There are people who all they took was one economics 101 class and they go, you can't say that if the stock market has X amount, that somehow, or what's the word he used? Increases values and in a sense reduces debt. No, it doesn't in any sense do that. He just makes shit up in his mind and runs with it. And it's amazing to me because wouldn't this be embarrassing? Like if you have any modicum of introspection, if you're able to be even mildly self-critical, wouldn't you be embarrassed to say something like this? To just, broadcast your ignorance to the world? But he's not. He doesn't feel that. And okay, random side point, and this will be the final point in this story, but it's just another great example of this mentality. Trump, he loves to say, oh, how great at golf he is, and he makes other people go out there and say how great at golf he is. And what's amazing is his stories are just so preposterous that even like now, just golf magazines are refuting them. Isn't that crazy? Like you're saying things that are so ridiculous that people who aren't even supposed to be critical of you and who to an extent have recently been, on your side because they say, oh, the golfer in chief, we have a president who loves golf and all that stuff. But now Golf Magazine was like, Trump just claimed to shoot 73 in rainy and windy conditions at a very difficult and long course. He really just claimed that. Meanwhile, fucking Hale Irwin, in his multiple rounds at that course on the Champions Tour, which is the senior tour, the golf senior tour, his average is over 73 on that course. So you're going to tell me a 71-year-old shot 73 in rainy and windy conditions on a long course when one of the top senior golfers in the world averaged over 73 on that course. And then, there's a litany of stories about how he's just the biggest fucking cheater in the world. There's some people who've golfed with him who say he'll literally pick up shots that are in the rough that are supposed to be chip shots. He's not even fucking putting. He'll pick it up and go, it's good. Tremendous. It's good. I understand for those of you who don't know golf, you might think, whatever, this is a side point. No, but for people who know golf, the shamelessness it would take to do something like that. There's a fucking video of him driving his golf cart on a green. On a green. That's not... I've been playing golf my whole life. That's a level of disrespect and shamelessness I've never seen anywhere ever. Ever. You're not even supposed to drive your cart near the green, within like 50 yards of the green. Not only is he within 50 yards, his cart was on the fucking green. It was on the green. So this is a guy who, not only does he not know anything, he's also an epic liar on a whole nother level. Where it's like he doesn't even realize the people that are with him are capable of independent thought and critically analyzing his actions. So he's a liar on a whole nother level. And with stories like this, it just shows in a way where you really have to pause and reflect. It's almost like, it's just in total awe and amazement that I read a quote like this. Because it's just broadcasting his ignorance, and he doesn't care. And he doesn't know, because he could just craft his own reality in his own mind. And then everybody who's not part of that, he just dismisses. Like, oh, fake news. No, but what if they're right and you're wrong? What if they're right that is not at all how the national debt works and you're wrong? I did fake news. I said it, so therefore it's true. Fake news. I shot 73. Donald Trump has the swing of a guy who shoots fucking 90, and he's talking about he shoots 73. My ass cheeks, he shoots 73. I don't shoot 73, and I'm way better at golf than he is. So he's just such a liar, and it's so shameless, and he's able to put himself in his own mental bubble where he's so disconnected from the rest of the world that I stare at it in amazement. Like, I don't know how it's possible, but he does it. And that's also, by the way, why he's such a danger to the world. When you're that disconnected and disassociated from other people and their perception of you and the reality of what's going on, I mean, you can do untold damage because you have a fucking military. And this is why every time he goes out there and fucking prods Kim Jong-un with a stick, you think he understands the consequences of those actions? Do you think he gets what can happen in a hot war with North Korea and how Seoul, South Korea could be obliterated and we could have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of deaths as a result of this? Either he doesn't know or he doesn't care or he's so disconnected that it's just irrelevant to him. Oh, he's got to go. He's got to get out of office. We got to defeat this guy because this is really, it puts the planet in danger.